All right, summer is approaching. You want to look shredded. I want to be shredded. Here's exactly what I'm going to be doing over the next couple months, and here's exactly what you should do too. If you want to be lean, you want to be shredded, you want to look good with your shirt off this summer, here's exactly what to do. My name's Billy. I'm a bodybuilder and a fitness coach. This is my physique transformation. I went from 50 to 77 kg. This is me benching. This is me, my physique. It's my credibility. Anyways, here's exactly what I'm going to be doing to get shredded, and here's exactly what you should do too. Let's go. All right, this is a common misconception which I see everybody making. The big problem is people think that to look good and to be shredded, they just have to lose fat, they just have to lose weight, so they get on a cut. Well, here's the problem. I'm lean here. But do I look good? Do I have a nice physique? I don't think so. I mean, sure, I was like 13 in this photo, but it's not the point. Yeah, okay, I have some sort of abs, I have something going on there, but I don't look good. I'm just skinny. This is not what we want. And the reason why I look like this was because I don't have muscle mass. I didn't have the muscle mass needed to look shredded. There's a difference between looking lean and looking shredded. Being lean is just having a low body fat percentage, which I do right here. But I don't look good because I'm not shredded, which is having a high amount of muscle mass and then cutting off the fat. You can't look shredded without first building the muscle, and this is something that everyone tries to skip. So if you're at the point where you don't have the muscle mass that you need to look shredded and to actually have the physique you want, you need to lean bulk. You need to start lean bulking today, and your only priority should be building muscle mass and not about cutting down any fat. Because you'll be very disappointed when you cut for a few months. You cut off all of your fats and you're just left looking like this. Because the problem is you don't have the muscle mass required. This is the position I'm at right now. I've been lean bulking for over a year. I've gained a lot of weight. I weighed in yesterday at 79 kg, and this is a photo of my physique from last week. And I'm actually already looking pretty lean. My abs are looking pretty solid. I look lean, but I'm not as lean as I want to be. Obviously this is good lighting and everything. So, realistically, I'm not this lean, but I want to be a lot leaner. I want to be really shredded. I want to have like a proper resting veins all over my arms. And that's what I want for the next few months. And that's my priority. I've already built the muscle mass. I already have the muscle mass on my frame. Now all I have to do is cut off any excess fat, which I can do quickly. I guess it's only going to take me a month. I've just started my cut. And basically, I'm going to be going through this journey myself. So if you want to follow along, subscribe to the channel, you'll be able to see my progress. But over the next 30 days, I'm going to be cutting pretty seriously. And I'll explain exactly how I'm going to do that soon. But basically, that's my goal. But the only reason why I'm doing this now is because I've built the muscle mass. I have a good level of muscle mass on my physique. But now when I cut down, I'm actually going to look better rather than just getting skinny. So especially if you're a skinny guy right now, you're a bit skinny fat, you should not be focused on cutting down your weight. Instead, you should be focused on building more muscle. Because there's no point cutting down if you're just going to look skinny and look like trash afterwards. Trust me, you're not going to feel good. You're not going to be making any progress in the gym. So first, build the muscle mass and cut down later. This is Joe Delaney. He's a natural bodybuilder. I think he has an amazing physique. But basically, I feel like this is a great example of it. Look at him here. Clearly he's like lean bulking. He's not very fat. He still has, an outline of his abs. He's still looking pretty good. Bicep vein. Obviously, he's been training for like 12 years at this point, 15 years, 20 years at some point. He's pretty old. But the point is, when he cut down, look how good he looks. Look how shredded his abs are. Look how big his chest looks, his arms. But this is only because he built the muscle mass first. He built the muscle mass first. So now that he's cut down, he looks good. He looks shredded. Whereas on the other hand, in here, if I was to cut down any extra fat I'd just look skinny and like I had like some sort of eating disorder, right? But the reason why he looks good is because he actually put in the work, built the muscle mass first, and now he's cutting down. Now he looked good when he shredded. You need muscle mass. Muscle mass is what allows you to actually look shredded. You can't look shredded without having muscle mass. Lean is law. You look good when you're lean, but first you need to have the muscle mass. You won't look good lean. You won't look good shredded if you don't have muscle mass. So here's exactly how to get shredded. And you should only be taking the advice from this part of the video once you've already put on a good amount of muscle mass. And this isn't saying you have to train for the next 2 years straight without cutting at all, without cutting off any fat, just to build the muscle mass, although that's something that you might want to do if you do want to get really big. This is the first time I'm properly doing a cut because I lean bulked correctly. I kept up my cardio. I built this physique while still gaining a lot of weight. I've gained 25 kg of weight. In fact, more than that, 27 kg. But I'm still pretty lean because I did it right. So now I'm at a point where I want to get shredded, and that's the goal for the next couple months. Here's exactly what I'm going to do, and here's exactly how you should do it too. All right, basically, it's very simple. You need to eat less and you need to move more. This is very common advice. But what does it actually mean? 10,000 steps a day. This is what I've been doing already for the last few weeks. And I think you should also definitely do it too. When you're at the point where you really want to shred down, walking is the best way to do it. You can also do incline treadmill. If you box, that's great too. If you play tennis, if you do some other kind of sports, football, whatever, that's great too. It's all cardio. But 10,000 steps a day is a pretty good baseline, a pretty good non-negotiable to include in your routine. It's going to get you shredded. Zone 2 cardio is great for burning stomach fat, just overall fat, of course, lowering your body fat percentage. It's great. And I think, at least in my situation, I don't want to be cutting for a long time. It's not that enjoyable. I do want to keep getting strength gains, and it's going to be difficult while I'm reducing my calories. So I want to restrict the amount of time that I'm having to cut. So I'm doing a pretty solid deficit. In fact, I'm doing more than this, but you need to be doing around a 500 calorie deficit. This is if you're similar to me. You don't want to be cutting for a long amount of time. You just want to quickly cut off fat, get shredded to look good. Here's exactly how you do it. So you basically just want to move more and eat less. All right. Do more steps, do more cardio, and eat less calories. It's very simple. All right. If you're a fat person, what do? Well, you have to move more. You have to eat less. It's the exact same thing when getting shredded, but obviously it's a different purpose. You're not trying to just lose fat, but you're trying to look good. And all it is just losing fat at the end of the day because you already have the muscle mass built. But what I want you to remember is this important distinction. It is that you need the muscle mass first. Otherwise, you're not going to look good when you're shredded. I see a lot of people making this mistake, cutting down because they want to look shredded before they've even built the muscle mass. Well, no wonder you look bad. No wonder you're not happy with your physique at the end of it. You go through 2 months of strict dieting, hating your life, not eating what you want, having no energy in the gym because of it. And at the end of it, you have nothing. You have a skinny physique when your goal in the first place was to build muscle mass. So as a lot of people are watching this video, on my channel, we all start skinny, a lot of us at least. If you want to get to the point, and even if you're on the fatter side, even if you're a bit skinny fat, you have fat on your stomach, your main priority right now, unless you're very, very overweight, should not be cutting down weight. It should be building lean muscle. Building muscle so that when you eventually cut, which can be done very, very quickly, you look good and you actually look shredded. Here are some extra tips once you're at this point when you're cutting down. One is to train abs. I think everyone should be training abs at every single point in their journey. If you're skinny, if you're fat, if you're shredded, if you're not, if you're cutting, if you're bulking, you want to be training abs. Most people aren't doing this consistently, but it's so important. All right. You want to be training abs at least a few times per week, at least at the minimum. And especially, when you're trying to get shredded, when you're taking off all of that fat, your abs will look really good if you've actually trained them, because everyone says, oh, well, abs are made in the kitchen. They're not. Abs are revealed in the kitchen because obviously, you have a big layer of fat. You can't see your abs. But at the end of the day, you can grow your abs. Your abs can get bigger, and they are, and they will. I have this experience myself. My abs have actually grown because they're just like any other muscle. So you want to be training them hard, especially when you're cutting down at this point. If you are like me right now, I'm training abs a lot more seriously, a lot more frequently, multiple times a week. And this is what you have to do if you want to look really good. Because obviously, abs are one of the most aesthetic muscles. They look great. We all want to have abs. It's probably why a lot of you started in the gym, doing the 5-minute ab workouts at home. I've done it too. This is the best place for you to start, but also definitely make sure you keep it up, continue training your abs, and this will make you look really good at the end of it. Another tip is carb cycling. Carbs make us pretty fat. It's probably one of the main reasons why people get so fat. It's not really because you're eating butter or fats. That's a myth. You don't get fat from eating fats. You get fat from eating carbs. Carbs are so high in calories. It's a bunch of starch. It stores as fat. It bloats you, makes your physique not look good. But carbs are also important because carbs give us very fast energy, which are good when you're trying to push hard in the gym and build muscle. So what you do is on the days where you're not training or you're not training so hard, you want to reduce the amount of carbs you're eating. So you only want to be having a high carb meal, maybe it's your pre-workout meal on your training days. So you're actually using the carbs during that workout and they're not around to get stored as fat or to just sit on your physique. When you take this very seriously, when you really want to shred down, you should only really be taking carbs on the days that you need to train hard. And actually you could train without carbs. Obviously there's people who do like keto, carnivore, and they don't have carbs at all, but I've tried it before. It doesn't make you feel good. It makes it very difficult to train hard. But, it's still important to have carbs in your diet, but you do want to avoid it when it's not really serving a purpose. So only have your carbs on your training days when you're pushing it hard. And this is exactly how you'll be able to use up your carbs so they don't get stored as body fat and obviously stop you from being able to shred down so quickly. So in recap, if you're trying to make progress to your physique and you want to look a lot better and you want to shred down for this summer, your priority should not just be cutting down because you can do it very quickly. If there's one thing you take away from this video, it's to build the muscle mass first. All right. You'll thank me later. Don't cut right now. There's still a good few months before summer. You have time to build muscle mass. You have time to put size onto your frame. And if you do still want to, right before summer, you can cut down very quickly. It shouldn't even take longer than a month if you do it quickly, if you're strict about it, if you're disciplined, which I'm sure you are if you've watched this far into the video. But make sure first that you're building muscle mass. And then once you're at that point, then you can shred down and look really good. And if you're confused about how to build the muscle mass, how to train, how to build muscle, you want to know how I made this transformation from 50 kg to 77 kg in just over a year and a half, join my free community at the top link in the description. There's over 120 guys in there now. We're all leveling up our physiques. Some guys are entrepreneurs in there, have businesses, people doing well in school, because basically when you improve your physique, you upgrade your life and everything gets better at the same time. So that sounds like you. If you think that you really want to get better, you want to improve all aspects of your life, specifically starting with your physique. And obviously, you want to stay up to date with my journey and other people's journeys. We're all doing this challenge right now where we're getting really jacked and looking really good over the next couple months. If you want to join that, you can join for completely free. Top link in the description. You get my workout plans, a free course on lean bulking, everything that you need to know to get started. So join the top link in the description and I'll see you there. Let's get jacked.